You know, this whole New World Order premiere tonight, I get attacked almost every day by the mainstream media, and I don't usually cover it. People are always emailing me saying, why aren't you talking about this TV show or this local show or this radio show or this Washington Post article? You can Google the name Alex Jones any given day and click news, and you'll see a hit piece against me. I love it. I absolutely love it. I just keep moving forward. And, you know, I've said I think the film is the most objective, most fair. But I've also said that it stereotypes and it picked the few little corny things we did. So the film is a distortion. The guys that made it know, sitting around, you know, eating popcorn, editing this thing, that they were choosing the most entertaining and hokey things just for entertainment value alone. And you follow people around all these years, but with me, there's really nothing discrediting other than I'm sweating in 95% humidity in 100-degree temperatures. It was so hot in that June in Virginia, you know, right off the coastline. I mean, everybody was just pouring sweat. And the New York Times said, look at Alex Jones. He's sweaty. You know, he's loud, every stereotype. Yeah, we're loud like the founding fathers or like George Washington at Trenton when he charged in against the Hessians. Was he sweating? Was he yelling? I mean, this is what we're supposed to do. They say, oh, you're not supposed to get excited. You're not supposed to get angry. Well, I like what Howard Beale said in Network. You've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value. And they do show some guy who made a weird, you know, documentary about a police state in the future. Not even a documentary, a fiction film with cheesy special effects. Not knocking the guy. It's just that's what it shows. And he thinks he's got a microchip in his head. And that's guilt by association. They went out and chose that. And they show me in a hotel room after I had the head of security in the hotel with other men behind him in suits walk up to Rob Jacobson. We need to put an article out about this, about yes, New York Times, yes, Bloomberg, yes, LA Times. Yes, there really was a Bilderberg group meeting. There really were people in cars following us. They really did pull the fire alarm on us. I mean, these articles in Bloomberg today, in the Los Angeles Times yesterday, in the New York Times last week, in Variety.com, that's right here. I mean, it's just everywhere. You know, there's LA Times for people watching at prisonplanet.tv. Should have added, we've been on live since 11:30. There's Bloomberg. There's, you know, Washington Post. I mean, they're all here. The point is that you read these articles, and I don't have time to go over these. Perhaps I should. And in each article, they say Jones believed he was in a hotel surrounded by an imaginary group going insane when a fire alarm goes off. You know, showing how important he is, showing that there's really a cabal, showing this is proof. There was Secret Service around it. This is where Obama went at the secret meeting. I meant to bring that up to Estelin. Estelin, who really does know some Bilderberg Group members. I talked to him yesterday. I said, you know, you confirmed Obama was there, correct? And he said, no, absolutely. So, I mean, he's on record that Obama was there. And I've had mainstream news attack me saying I'm crazy, saying Obama was there. Pretty fair piece, though, was done in Politico. I have to say that one was a fair, actual journalistic piece. CBS News carried that on the nightly news, by the way. Very bizarre. So that's really one of the only fair pieces ever in U.S. media that admits all of this. Now, in the German news, the French news, the Russian news, the Japanese news, the British news, the Irish news, they admit, here's the Bilderberg Group, here's their founding documents that got leaked. They set up the European Union. They want a one-world government. They pick prime ministers and presidents. They're running the show. Their own documents, Etienne Davignon, the Viscount, the head of Bilderberg, he's in the EU Observer newspaper saying they run things. You know, they write books saying it. David Rockefeller 4 years ago published his memoirs saying it. Men in Power is a political retrospective. Helmut Schmidt brags Bilderberg runs the planet. And so I tried to give all of that to See-Think, but they didn't put it in the film. And that's what the news says. Bloomberg says, and the LA Times says, and Variety and everybody else say, with no proof, Jones claims they're building FEMA camps. That Halliburton is. The film shows no proof. Well, I showed proof to them. I showed them the Houston Chronicle and the Washington Post and the New York Times about the FEMA camps. That's on record. I've had congressmen on about that. I've had congressmen on how they've been threatened with physical martial law. But Bloomberg just says that I made it up that Halliburton built FEMA camps. And they say I make it up that I'm being followed. You know, Jones insanely sees a car driving behind him on the highway and thinks it's the government. Folks, I was at Bilderberg with people following me as they closed it down at noon. I get in our car, and cars and vans follow us off the property and take 7, 8, 9, 10 turns, follow us into parking lots with, you know, big guys getting out. We shot video of it. I mean, this is just another version of what they've done all these years, denying that the Bilderberg Group even existed. Now they have to admit it exists in all the mainstream news, but if they just report on this film, they can then say the film doesn't prove it exists. And I remember I kind of got in a big argument with the C-Think people, and I said, you say this is objective? Well, I don't think it's objective, and I don't trust you, because you're not even saying there's even a Bilderberg Group meeting happening here this weekend. This is the day before Bilderberg arrived, and one of them was acting like it might not even exist. And I said, listen, pal, the Bilderberg Group exists. Stop. I mean, this is so childlike that they're openly in the Time Magazine, Newsweek, hundreds of other major publications announcing world government is good. You'll pay carbon taxes to private bankers. And we have got these people denying it exists. And so, you know what? I welcome the fact that scores of mainstream news publications, the biggest in the country, some of the biggest in the world, New York Times, Washington Post, Variety, Bloomberg, are saying I'm crazy and none of this exists. Because people are going to watch the film The New World Order that, as the LA Times said, you know, that I'm, quote, come off as charming, and that we make some points. The LA Times is the only half fair one. It still goes with the same angle, but a little bit slicker. Kind of just dismisses this as people who mean well but are nuts. People are going to read these articles. They're going to watch the film, and then they're going to Google Bilderberg, and they're going to see the world leaders and the kings and queens arriving, and they're going to read Bilderberg Group documents, and they're going to see everything we talk about unfolding, and they're going to go, well, the media lied to me again. The media distorted again. Remember the History Channel hit piece that I knew was a hit piece? When they called my office, I knew it was a hit piece, had an argument with my producer about it. I said, no, this is a hit piece. But when it came out, they did everything they could to distort what I said, everything they could to make me look bad. It didn't matter. I talked to friends, I talked to family, I talked to everybody. That has woken up so many people who saw that show, saw how one-sided it was, went and looked it up and became 9/11 truthers. Because people instinctively know the mainstream media lies, spins, distorts. And that's why they're allowing half-decent films like New World Order to come out now, because they've got to admit some of it's real to keep any of their credibility. I don't think the guys at C-Think are bad, but I'm not stupid. I know they made us look hokey. I know they distorted the film in a stereotypical way. That's fine. People are going to find out who the real Alex Jones is. They're going to find out who the real Luke Rudkowski is. They're going to find out who we really are. They're going to go and they're going to look up Endgame and Terror Storm and Road to Tyranny and the Obama deception. So again, as everybody sees this C-Think film, I need articles up on PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com saying, hey, all you new people coming to Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, get Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement. Find out who Alex Jones really is. Find out what he really has to say. See the full spectrum of his work. Find out who the elite are and what they have in store for you from their own documents. Because everything we talked about years ago, I called out Bill and Melinda Gates, Warren Buffett. I called out Mr. Watson, the head of the Human Genome Project, as a Nazi a year before it came out that he said blacks weren't humans, the guy that ran the IBM Human Genome, the Nobel Prize winner for the double helix, because I'd already read his writings saying get rid of the majority of the population. He's one of the villains in Endgame, and a year after this came out 2 years ago, a year later, it comes out, everything I say. You think I just accuse somebody? Unlike other people, if I accuse somebody of something, I got proof. Do you think I just get up here on air and say Bayer Pharmaceutical knowingly put HIV and hepatitis in over 1 million ampules, a factor rate, and knowingly shipped it out, knowing it would kill people for eugenics? They were convicted in court of that. It came out their own internal documents. You see, when you see Endgame, you learn, not only who the elite are, but what their entire global agenda is. This more and more I realize is the most important film I've made. And if you don't have this on DVD, you're insane. People need this. You need to have viewing parties. This needs to be the biggest, hottest film out there. It's huge, but not big enough. Obama deception is important and is for newbies. People say, well, I already know everything in Obama deception. That's the whole point. It's for people that don't understand the left-right paradigm's a fraud, a distraction, a diversion. This film is so important. This cracks it all. And I already knew that my film was right. But the film gets more important as time goes on. It's more than evergreen. It isn't just staying evergreen. It's like glowing now. It's putting off sparks now.